Welcome to the introductory session of Cloud Application Security. My name is Vivek and I have over 5 years of industrial expertise in the fields of information security and cloud security. In today's session, we are going to go ahead and cover the following topics. We are going to know what is cloud computing. We're going to address what is an application. We're going to also see the relationship between applications and different servers. Then we are going to check if these applications are vulnerable. And finally, we are going to see the different ways to attack an application server. And then finally, how do we protect it? Now, beginning with the cloud computing. What is in cloud computing? The definition of cloud computing says that the cloud computing services gives you access to the servers, storage, databases, and a broad set of internet or application services, which is then hosted over the internet. A cloud services provider, such as Amazon Web Services, owns and maintains the network connected hardware required for these application services, while you provision and use what you need via a web application. Now the question is, why do we need cloud computing in the first place? Well, we needed cloud computing in order to get rid of our traditional data centers. Now, why we actually needed to get rid of traditional data center is an important question. Let's look at the picture first. This is the picture I'm talking about. This picture is taken from a data center. Just imagine that one person just have to manage the entire data center. Wouldn't that be a daunting task to do? Right? It would be. That's the reason we switched to cloud computing. Now, instead of maintaining and incurring all the expenses to manage a data center, we can leverage the cloud computing technology and get rid of all the extra expenses that we have to manage. Yeah? Now next, what is an application again? Now an application or application program is a software that runs on your computer. For example, web browsers like Firefox, the icon you can see on the screen, right? Then email programs like Gmail that you can see on the screen, the word processors, the games, the utilities, these are all applications. The word application is used because each program has a specific application for the user. So if you want to send a WhatsApp message, you will have a specific application that will depict WhatsApp for you. Now, let's understand the relation between these applications and different kinds of servers. Now, to begin with, web servers and application servers are the different types of servers involved in this process, where the former, meaning the web server, is used to deliver the web pages, and the latter, that is your application server, deals with the application operations performed between the user and the backend simultaneously, right, throughout the organization, or the traffic coming from the internet in this case. So if you see the small diagram right here, if a user is sitting across a country, maybe in Dallas, and the server is maybe in California, right? There is a distance between the user and the server, right? And how the user is able to reach to the server is because of the web server. The organization has hosted a web server, and that web server in turn communicates with your application server, right? Now, with this being said, the major or the most important question that comes to our mind is, are these servers vulnerable? That's a million-dollar question, and the answer to this question is yes. These applications are definitely vulnerable because all of these kind of applications, the web servers, the application servers, they uses either polymorphic or more complex code. But at the end of the day, the attackers will always find a way around to compromise these application servers, these web servers, and the web pages, right? Most common vulnerabilities that we are going to go through and perform our labs on are the SQL injection, the cross-site scripting, and the remote file inclusion. Let's talk briefly about what SQL injection is. Well, SQL injection is all about targeting the SQL database. The database that is, that has a lot of entries, of the users, their username, their list, their items, right? And thus, by manipulating the codes, we can easily attack the SQL database and get all the information out of that particular database. We're going to perform a demo on that as well. Then we move on further and talk about cross-site scripting, right? The main objective while performing a cross-site scripting is to steal the data of the user by running a malicious script in the browser. Note, I'm saying in the browser and not in the server, because a cross-site scripting is all about compromising your browser instead of targeting the database or targeting the server directly. So in here, a malicious code is injected in the website content, which is accessed by the user, and thus in turn, once we access the user's computer or the user is in our trap, we can so forth and henceforth go ahead and either compromise the server or we can compromise the end user's machine. Either way, it's a win-win for us. We're going to know about that as well. And then the final one in this list right now is remote file inclusion. Now, these type of vulnerabilities hits when a web application allows the user to upload files to the server. So there is a web application which you access from your house, and using that web application, you can actually upload files to a server, to a remote server. Now, this seems very, generic, right? That we do it every day. But the less we know about is, once the hacker knows about the URI, which is used by the web application server, it would be a cakewalk for the attacker to compromise the destination server or even the remote user's computer. Yeah. Then, if these actually now seem scary, doesn't it? So, are there any ways around in order to make ourselves secure? Yes, there is. There are different ways so that we can prevent ourselves and protect ourselves from all of these attacks. The first one is Web Application Firewall. Well, the Web Application Firewall performs Layer 7 inspection, and that's the key point here. Why is Layer 7 inspection a key point? Because all the web application servers runs on Layer 7 protocol of the OSI model, right? That's why it's called the web application. It either uses HTTP or HTTPS protocol, right? Then the second thing we need to implement in order to make sure that we are protected from such attacks are authentication and authorization. Meaning the users must be authenticated and authorized so that we can enforce the user roles and policies very precisely. Let's take an example. Jay is an admin, right? So first of all, we should know it's Jay who's trying to log in, who's trying to use his username and password. That is called authentication. Now, Jay has logged into the server successfully, and now Jay is trying to reboot the server. Is Jay allowed to reboot the server? That is a part of authorization. What is Jay authorized to do, right? And the third part here is cryptography. We should always make sure that we are using some sort of encryption, some sort of username and password. Yeah. Now, when we talk about encryption, it's all about, encrypting the data or encrypting your credentials using either symmetric key or asymmetric key. But these keys at the end of the day make sure that encryption is taking place so that nothing is plain text, everything is in ciphertext. Now, these are the examples we have been through, and we'll try to make sure that we go ahead and implement in real life in the upcoming sessions. Thank you so much for joining in. See you in the next session.